Hello, and welcome to a bonus episode of Ice is Slippery, an unserious podcast about hockey brought to you by 1.5 hockey fans. My name is Kate, and I'm the hockey fan.
And my name is Fred. I'm half a hockey fan.
Happy Friday, Fred. How are you?
Happy Friday. Doing a podcast on a Friday like a crazy person.
I know. It's Friday night. We finished work, and we are down here podcasting once again about Heated Rivalry.
Yeah.
We can't stop talking about the show.
Everybody can't.
I was going to say, much like everybody else, or at least everybody else in my particular bubble of the internet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the episode 5 dropped last night. We stayed up late to watch it, even though we are middle-aged adults with jobs.
That's the latest I've stayed up on a school night in a while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with you.
Yeah, I watched a hockey game and then...
Yeah, like an 8 o'clock hockey game and then watched Heated Rivalry. We were up far too late.
Yeah.
So, but it was worth it. And we've already now rewatched it because we just wanted to get talking about it because it was a really good episode, guys.
It was great.
Yeah, I kind of had originally planned on talking about, again, a lot of sort of the cultural impact of the show. There's a lot of behind the scenes fun stuff. There have been a lot of great interviews this week. There has been some sort of drama and kerfuffle. And I thought it would be all great, interesting stuff to talk about. And then the episode came out and I was like, oh no, I don't need to talk about any of that. Like, this episode is going to be...
This episode stands on its own.
It stands on its own. There's plenty to discuss. I think that, you know, if people are really interested in another thing, we could consider doing a different episode for the other stuff. But like this one, I think we just got to talk about last night's show because it was so good. It was
bonkers good.
It was one of my favorite episodes of television I've ever seen.
Yeah, and you've seen a lot of those.
I've seen so much television, you guys. I cannot overstate how many episodes of television I've watched.
Yeah.
It's like I have a microchip in my brain that just broadcasts TV to me at all times.
Yeah. No, this was, I was kind of blown away by this episode. It was kind of what I was hoping for, and it delivered.
I said last night when it ended that I said, I think I feel changed as a person, and you laughed. So I think that you thought that I was kidding, but I don't think I was kidding.
Yeah.
I do feel a little changed as a person.
You're different now. It's like me after watching the birding documentary.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
You're going to go out and look at birds, and I'm going to go out and look at hockey players. No, I already did that. All right.
You already do that.
I'll figure that out. Anyway, the episode is called I'll Believe in Anything, and it's really great. So I think let's just get into it and let's just talk about it because I think that it's going to be a deep dive today.
All right. Let's do this thing.
So the episode 5 is called I'll Believe in Anything. And to start off, I'm going to say that any pacing issues the show might have struggled with up until this point were probably a necessary evil to get us to this episode. Because the way that this episode unfolded was so perfect. It just really, I don't know, unfolded so beautifully. And the timing of it felt so fantastic. And I think that it was because we had all of this groundwork that was laid out, and there was probably really no ideal way to lay out all the groundwork. So they kind of did the best they could, and it wasn't perfect before.
Yeah, but this episode was able to stand on the shoulders of those other episodes.
Yes, that is a very good way of putting that. Thank you for saying what I was saying in a much more concise way.
Look at me using my words.
Yeah, I know that never happens. So much of the dialogue in this episode is lifted right off of the page of the books. But because we kind of already had these characters established, it is just a really unique experience because it really was like seeing the books brought to life in a way that I've never really experienced from an adaptation of a novel before.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like most of the time, right, adaptations of books, everyone's like, oh, the book's better, this. And I feel like this, I mean, I haven't read the book or the books, but I feel like it seems to be doing okay.
I literally felt like I was just watching the book play out. Like I just felt like those were the characters and this was the book just alive in front of me. And it was a very unique experience that I've never had before. And just the acting was so good. The pacing was so good. Just every choice I really loved.
Yeah.
So I think it was great. We get immediately into the episode, which I really like. There's no sort of dilly-dallying around. We wake up. This is right after the club scene.
Right after the club scene that wrecked everybody.
Yes, I was going to say the one that we've all been crashing out over for the last week. So this is the immediate aftermath. It's the next day. Shane's waking up in his bed. Rose is getting dressed. he's like, hey, sorry, I couldn't get it up last night, basically. And so we find out that, yes, things did not go well last night with the two of them.
Nope.
And she's super cool and chill about it, and it's fine. And then meanwhile, Ilya's over at the airport looking through social media posts about them and sulking. And yeah, they're still not doing great.
Right. Yeah, no, there's still a yearning.
The yearning has not ceased. The yearning has only maybe intensified, honestly.
Yeah.
So Rose basically seems pretty chill with things and suggests that she and Shane grab dinner, which they do a week later. And basically, she proves to be the coolest girl in the world.
Yeah.
And it's something I really like about the books is that a lot of times in romance novels, it feels like sort of the side love interest characters are very one-dimensional. You know, Rose in this could have been sort of villainous, or she could have been really bland because...
just like accelerating the plot, just there to move it along, right?
Exactly. Here she plays such an important role because she really sees Shane for who he is and helps him sort of articulate these things about himself that he's never really bothered to try to do before. I don't know. It's just like such a beautiful scene. So they're at dinner, they're having a nice time. And then she kind of gently kind of prying out of him what's going on. Cause, you know, she kind of is hinting that like, oh, I have my friend Miles, the one who was all kissing up on you the other night. He thinks you're super cute. And like, didn't you notice he was gay? And are there any gay hockey players? And then she kind of is like, I just get the feeling maybe you're would be more into Miles than you are into me.
Yeah, she has a straight up intervention with him.
She does, yeah. And you can tell she's kind of tiptoeing around it, but Shane does not do great with like subtlety. He doesn't read it very well.
He's not real quick with that kind of stuff.
He is not. And even I think if he was picking up what she was putting down, it's too easy for him to pretend that he's not. So she just straight up is like, okay, I don't think I'm saying this right, but like, listen, are you gay? But she says it in like this great way. Like it doesn't feel pressury or like on the spot or accusatory. And she just feels really gentle with it. And I have to say that Hudson Williams' acting in this scene is like a masterclass for me.
It's really good in like the character sense, like inhabiting that character. Like he has trouble looking her in the eyes, right? And he's always kind of darting off.
But you can see things moving beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And you see sort of the emotions in the eyes and the sort of glassy eyes. And like, it's just in the books, there's so much with Shane where it's like there's so much going on in the interior and he's like so shut down and he doesn't show it to anybody. And that's really hard to convey on the screen. And Hudson Williams does such a great job of being like, Shane's having this sort of like panic moment right now. And like you can see the wheels turning and him kind of like freaking out, like all just so subtly inside of what's going on.
And you see it kind of break down as he's talking too, right? Like it starts out like real steely and cold. And then like it gets softer and softer until he's finally like, yeah, you know.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is that he doesn't want to hurt Rose's feelings. And then part of it too is like he doesn't want to lose her as a friend at all. And he's kind of like, well, am I even going to still be her friend if we aren't whatever we are? And he's just facing all of these different things. And for her to just sort of straight up be like, listen, it's okay. Like, this is fine. Who you are is fine. I really like you. If we're not compatible in this one way, that's okay. For her to just be astute enough to see that and to realize that, no, he hasn't talked to anybody else about this, because she straight up asks, she's like, have you been with another man? Was it better? Have you ever talked to anybody about that before? And he's just with his sort of like very minute, you know, head shakes and
his micro expressions.
His micro expressions. I mean, he just tells like such a novel. It's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful, beautiful scene. And she comes across so sort of compassionate and caring. And she doesn't just feel like a side character. She just feels like somebody who has sort of been there and been around it. You know, she sort of talks about how he's far from her first boyfriend to come out to her because she's got a theater background.
Right.
And you know, that does kind of make sense. Like,
yeah, no, for the character being on screen as little as she was, I agree. Like, she feels fully developed.
She's fully realized. She has such an impact.
She's got a life going on, and I'm somehow aware of it, and I'm good with it.
Yeah, a lot of times when you're watching movies or TV shows, it's like when the character disappears off screen, you're like, okay, well, they're just like in the closet. Like they're on a shelf. They're in a drawer. They don't exist. But like with her, she's just off living her life and having a great time.
Yeah.
When she's not around Shane. And that is so great. It just really helps because he's been so isolated for so long. And they sort of part ways agreeing to be friends. And you really believe that. And you can start to see at the end of the scene, it's like a different Shane than you've seen all series long.
His like shoulders are more relaxed or something.
There's a lightness to him. And I went back. I've already rewatched the episode. I've watched it 3 times now. We watched it last night. I rewatched it again this morning. And then we rewatched it right before we are recording right now.
Yep.
And my second time watching it, I went back and I had the book with me. So I was like reading parts as I was watching. And yeah, I mean, he even says in the book that he just feels like lighter than he ever has maybe. And you just see it. Like you just see it. And it's so beautiful. And it's like, oh, I just can't.
You just can't. You're just dead.
I just died. I'm dead with happiness.
Yeah. I did like her comment that, what was it? Like he's a secretly funny person or something along that line.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you could not like keep that a secret. Like you could tell people about that part.
Right.
Which is nice. I don't know. They have such a good vibe. And, you know, she comes across that way in the book too. And the actress did such a phenomenal job of bringing her to life on the screen too. Because I worried almost she could seem too good to be true or sort of too plot devicey.
Right.
But she felt so real and lived in and caring and just like a real person.
Now the ladies in this show represent, huh?
Yeah, this is a very sort of ladies getting it done for the sad boys episode.
Right.
Which we'll see kind of unfolds farther as well. But it was great. And honestly, just the fact that they just jumped in, resolved that whole thing, and we're like, okay, here we go. We're done. Like that's been put to bed.
Yeah, great, right? Like that's what I need in my life. Like don't draw it out. Don't like do the plot device of, oh, something's gone wrong and now we've got to wait for the resolution or something. Like it's just in and out and I'm on board.
Yeah, no, it was great. And we
in and out.
Awkward. Anyway, and yeah, I mean, you got to see Shane make an inappropriate joke during that scene, which again, that whole like square peg, round hole, you know, and I'd rather be the hole than the peg. All of that is directly from the book.
It's very funny too.
It's very funny.
His delivery of that line is killer too.
It's so good because yeah, in the book, you're kind of just like, oh, Shane, that's very out of character for you. But like, he did it so well. And again, it's because of all the groundwork he's done with that character up until this point where you're just
he
like,
put in the work.
Yeah, it's earned. And it's like now all the setup's been done and now you can just enjoy watching all of these like really good parts unfold. So that was great. And then that same night that the two of them are breaking up or redefining their relationship into a friendship.
Redefining their relationship.
Yes.
I like that.
Consciously uncoupling.
Conscious,
might say.
Conscious uncoupling. I love it.
Yes. The same night that's happening, Shane is in Boston with Svetlana. And in the book, they are post-coital. They don't appear to be post-coital in this scene to me necessarily.
Oh, I thought they had done it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
I thought they had done it and then they're watching hockey after.
All right. Well, that's definitely how it is in the book. I didn't necessarily get those vibes in the scene. It felt a little more platonic to me.
I mean, she wasn't wearing like any pants.
I mean,
and he had no shirt on, but he usually doesn't have a shirt on. So yeah, I can.
I just thought she was wearing like super short shorts and a t-shirt.
Oh,
so
yeah, no. I assumed the doing it.
All right. Well, okay. Doing it or no doing it. They're hanging out in bed. They're talking about the upcoming All-Star game, which is something that Shane and Ilya will both be participating in. And they will be playing on the same team for the first time ever. At this point, Svetlana is really, I think, talking about Shane a lot. We'll find out later that she pretty much knows Ilya's with a guy.
Right.
She says that straight out later in the episode. I think she's suspected that for a while. I think she's kind of known all along this Jane is a guy, probably.
Yeah.
She's smart. I'm assuming she knows he's bisexual. I feel like she knows about him and Sasha and everything.
Yeah, no, clearly. That was when they were in the bathroom together. Like
there were vibes.
Yeah.
So I think she knows that. I don't think that she knows that Jane is Shane.
No, I don't think so either. No.
But I do think she suspects that Ilya thinks Shane is cute or is interested in him or something because she's always bringing him up. And like, he is always just like, that guy, whatever.
Yeah.
Just like, he's good. he's cute. And he's like, okay. I don't know. I just thought that was a nice scene, kind of, again, juxtaposing that, especially because at the end, she sort of talks about, I wonder what Rose Landry's going to be bringing to
she
the All-Star game.
Plants the seeds of him just like constantly thinking about that.
And he's got his head on her lap and is just melting down quietly.
So in that scene too, when she mentions that Shane's hot and she gets no response from him, like her eyes dart over, like real suspect. Like, what do you mean you're not going to say he's hot? Of course he's hot. Look at him. And I know you like guys.
Yeah, she's like, you would say something if like you didn't care.
Right.
And the fact that you aren't saying anything and that you do care. And she's like, come on, you know he's gorgeous. And you know he's good at hockey. And he's like, he is good.
Yeah.
But he like flat out refuses to say anything about how he looks or anything like that. So she's on to something with him in that. And I don't know. I just think it's funny. Like it's a good sort of shorthand for how well they know each other and how long they have known each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like they definitely go back and they have a very close relationship, you know. Shane and Rose have this connection, but it's still very new. Svetlana and Ilya have an entirely different kind of friendship and connection that goes back farther and has that sort of a different shared cultural kind of connection too.
Right.
So it's different. So just to orient you in space and time here, approximately 2 months have passed since the tuna melt scene.
Oh, okay.
So just to kind of let you know where we're at with everything. So basically that happened in November of 2016. Shane met Rose later that month. They began getting photographed by the paparazzi in December. They all ended up in the nightclub in mid-January. And then Shane and Rose break up a week later. And then the All-Star game happens like a week or two after that.
Okay. So it's real short time span then.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
I guess I didn't have any sense of that.
Yeah, they didn't really do any of the sort of title cards with the timelines elapsing this time because it just, they did a little bit here and there. It was like 1 week later. But
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just figured I would sort of let you know timeline wise, because that does kind of come up again later where timeline issues
Sure.
are a thing for sure. But yeah, so that's just kind of basically so you know the tuna melt scene, everything that happened at the end of last episode up now until they get to the All-Star game. 2 months have elapsed.
Wow. Yeah. So really
since the end of last episode and here where they meet up at the All-Star game.
Kind of a blur and a whirlwind of stuff going on.
Yeah, it was, that was such a pivotal scene for them in the book, that tuna melt scene. And they do sort of have that time apart, that little schism, but they are processing and they're doing things on their own, Ilya's clearly going through it because he's like, wait, I didn't want him to go date a movie star.
Right.
And Shane's like, I didn't want to have feelings. That's weird. But then they did. And now they're not together and they're not talking. And it's very strange. So as per the book, they were not in communication at all at this point.
Okay.
In fact, Ilya is kind of nervous going into All-Star weekend because he hasn't texted Shane at all. Normally he would have. And he thinks about doing it. But he, on some level, is concerned that Shane and his girlfriend would like make fun of him and think he was pathetic if he texted.
Yeah, I mean, Shane's ostensibly dating a super famous movie star. So like I can see some like feelings around that being like cast aside almost, or, whatever. Yeah,
Ilya definitely has some insecurities that are coming out to play there. So at the All-Star game, I'm assuming it's the same in the show as it is in the book. We see them at a bar and Ilya sitting there drinking a beer and looking very anxious, honestly, I will say.
Yeah, he looked like his leg was like bouncing up and down. Like,
yes.
Like he was shaking his, whatever you call that.
Yeah, no, he definitely had that like sort of leg shake going on. He was fiddling with his beer and then he sees Shane walk in and he very quickly drains the rest of his beer because he's just like, which who wouldn't be like that, honestly.
Right.
So Shane comes over and is like the smoothest we've ever seen Shane.
Yeah, no, he's like Don Johnson in the 80s or something.
He's given a little Miami Vice with that sort of linen suit and the t-shirt underneath. Like a very neutral color, like Miami Vice, like Miami Vice without the pastels.
Miami Vice beige.
Yes, exactly. This scene I thought was so interesting because the two of them haven't ever really had like a big public conversation before because they've been positioned in this rivalry since before they even met. It's all been about them pitting each other against each other, and they've never had a chance to play on the same team before. So the All-Star game, this one in particular, is giving them that opportunity where it's like, oh, they're on the same team. So they have an excuse to sort of mingle and do so out in the open and in public. So they're just sitting there talking and it feels like, I don't know, so scandalous in a way. It's almost like, I don't know, sort of an older, like Jane Austen era movie
Yeah.
of just, people having this conversation in public and everyone's fully clothed and it feels like the most clandestine, sexy thing that's happened in a weird way. It's just great because Shane comes over and he's like trying to sort of make small talk, and he kind of talks unsubtly about how he's always wanted to be on the same team as Ilya, which, kind of sounds like a euphemism of some sort.
It did. Yeah, that came across that way. I don't know if the words matched up, but I did pick up like playing on the same team, right?
Yeah, there's definitely some kind of a vibe there. And then Ilya, really like the least subtle person in the world, is like, so are you here with anybody?
You got that Rose character. What's up with Rose? What's she doing? Is she here?
And Shane, bless him, again, incapable of parsing subtleties whatsoever. He's like, oh, yeah, my parents are thinking about coming, but they are not here, actually.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, sure. That's definitely not what I was asking about, but all right. And then Shane's like, do you have anybody here? And he was like, nope.
I love the way he said nope, obviously.
Yeah, no, he said nope. And then there was some definite eye fucking on both of them.
There was eye fucking, and then he like took a sip of his beer, and yeah.
There was some elevator eyes going on.
Elevator. Yeah, no, he did the eye thing in that scene for sure.
No, the chemistry in the scene is so insane. I mean, honestly, this whole episode, like, you really don't see anything in this episode. There, you get a few like shirtless shots here and there, but
there's no
asses. There's no on screen any kind of sex. It's just, you sort of come into the end of things or you leave as things are heating up. This is really just all relationship stuff. I described this episode last night as emotionally sexy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, I was expecting to see some yams.
Yes, it was a yam-free episode.
Yam-free.
No, not a single yam was to be found.
Nope.
No, it was, but in a weird way, it became so sexy as a result of the lack of overt sexuality. It's just like such a simmering, sort of slow burn kind of episode where so much of it is, we've seen them naked so many times, but they've been very guarded with their feelings. And then in this episode, they start to get vulnerable with their feelings and we don't see their naked bodies. And in a weird way, it feels a lot more intimate.
Yeah, we've been desensitized to their naked bodies, but not to their emotions.
I wouldn't say desensitized. But yeah, no, in a weird way, it feels almost sexier or more intense or something because, yeah, we've seen all the sexy parts and now it's like, okay, but the true nakedness is like letting you see who I am as a person.
Whoa.
I know. Like, oh, I hate that stuff. Like, it's so awkward and uncomfortable. Like, they are talking, they're having a great time. Ilya is still very confused about what's going on with Shane. And he finally compliments Shane on his outfits. And then Shane admits that he hired a personal stylist.
Yeah.
And the look that Ilya gives him at this admission is just one of the best pieces of face acting I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know how you make that face. How do you make that face?
It's just so good. His whole expression just sort of softens and melts a little bit and then just really sort of dissolves into laughter, but more good-natured and not mean. And
yeah, and this too, especially like I noticed it here, but it kind of made me realize that it had already been going on. But there's a lot of smiling Ilya in this episode.
There is.
Like he was smiling with Svetlana in bed before and being silly, and he smiles a lot more later. And like this one, you're like, look at that smile. That's a different kind of smile we haven't seen from him before.
Yeah, in this scene in particular, you really do start to see it where at first, I feel like he's very standoffish when Shane first approaches. And then he just kind of, I think, decides to go with it and just see where it's going and what's happening. And then he finally kind of asks the real question, so is this because of Rose Landry? And Shane's like, oh, yeah, no, we're not together. We're not compatible.
Right.
And Ilya's like, okay, cool. All right. And then they're like, okay, the vibes are still vibing.
Yep.
And they don't have to say much about it, but they do. But then they really talk about the elephant in the room at that point, because at one point, one of their teammates comes up and interrupts them and is like, this is crazy. Look at you guys talking in public. Like, you know each other and are friends. Like, what a weird thing is happening here. And Shane says, oh, I think this will probably happen a lot this weekend. And Ilya says, it should give us the chance to get to know each other. And we might find out we might have some things in common. And it's just Oh, it's so good. Like they have known each other for like 8 years at this point, and nobody knows that they know each other.
And they don't really know each other.
And they don't really know each other, but they do, but they don't.
Oh my God.
It's just so good. It feels like such a fresh start in a weird way. And I don't know, it's such a major turning point. I just really loved it. And honestly, again, this whole scene right out of the pages of the book.
Yeah.
Just everything. So good.
No, I enjoyed the scene. And I mentioned this while we were watching it again, but I really liked the way it was shot.
Yeah. And I don't know, I like seeing Ilya in the sort of loud shirt again. It just felt very sort of Russian hockey player coded.
Right.
He said he likes to, sort of fit the mood or whatever. Because it's Florida. They're in Tampa Bay. So he's wearing kind of a Hawaiian type shirt.
Yep.
It's great. And then I really liked the way they unfolded the rest of the All-Star weekend, because in the book, it's a little sort of scene. But the most important scenes of the All-Star weekend are Shane getting to watch Ilya play with a bunch of kids in the pool and basically being like, wow, he'd be a good dad.
What a great scene, too. Again, this is Ilya smiling and having fun and getting to see like him being a normal person. That was a super funny scene.
And goofing around with the kids. And that is straight out of the book. And Shane really does think to himself, I wonder if he's ever thought about having kids. He'd be a good dad.
Yeah, no, for
and
sure.
You're just like, oh my God.
No, it was real
You're
funny.
so down bad for this guy.
And when he got out of the pool, too, I only noticed this on the second watch, but he shakes his head off like a dog to get Shane all wet.
He does, indeed.
Which is super funny. And then Shane's got to cover the bet he made with those kids or whatever.
That's what he is asking for, basically. Right. He's like, I don't have my wallet.
I just bet these kids I could beat them, but they all beat me.
I know, which he obviously let them win. He pretended he was getting eaten by a shark, I think.
Yep.
So cute.
So cute. So fun.
And then scenes from that are intercut with them on the ice at the All-Star game. Yeah. And they're playing on the same side at once. And you see them on the ice and they are just beaming at each other and having a great time and making passes and scoring goals. And then, I think Shane scores a goal off of an assist from Ilya. And Ilya just gives him a big old smooch right on the helmet.
Smooches.
We have a recent episode called Helmet Smooching. This is not out of character for hockey players to smooch each other on the helmets.
No, absolutely. No, they had a good zone entry with Shane carrying it up the center. He did a drop pass to Ilya, and then he swung down to the net, passed it to Shane. Like there was actual hockey.
Babe, you're so good at hockey. You're understanding things. That's really a good job.
Yeah. And I'm assuming, too, with the way they brought it over, that Shane was centering.
He was, especially according to the book, I will say. Ilya was actually very happy to move to the wing because he had always wanted to play on a line with Shane. And in the book, he's so excited about it because Shane can keep up with him in a way that nobody else has ever been able to. Mm-hmm. And it's like they have almost this sort of telepathic connection and they can just read each other because, at an all-star game, they don't have a lot of time to practice ahead of time.
Yeah, and I mean, an all-star game, too, is pretty exhibition-y at the end of the day.
For sure.
So...
But no, in the book, Ilya's really just kind of like, look at this. Our chemistry is crazy. And in the book, he really can't help himself. He actually kisses him on the cheek in the book. So the helmet smooch felt a little more accurate.
Yeah, like you literally see that week to week in hockey.
I mean, literally the Dallas Stars, we've seen it multiple times this season alone. We have a lot of tall Finnish players who like to smooch all of the shorter players on the top of the head.
Yep.
It was very cute. So if you're new into the hockey world and you need a team that smooches each other a lot, check out the Dallas Stars.
Well, on the helmet.
On the helmet, yeah. I don't know. Mika Rantanen.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of laid one on Maverick Bork not too long ago.
Yeah, there's been some where you just we don't have the right angle of the picture. And boy, it's hard to tell.
There have definitely been some kisses that look like maybe mouth to cheek or maybe even mouth to mouth. It's been a very kissy season in Dallas this year.
For sure.
And that's great. And I love that. But that's a whole other podcast. Listen to our actual hockey podcast where we talk about real hockey players kissing. IDK. Anyway, so it's great. They have that. And so we get to see that sort of cutting back and forth with them. And you just get to see Ilya just gazing at Shane adoringly in both circumstances. And it's so cute. It's just so cute.
Yeah, no, I love that. And again, on the ice, Ilya, all smiley and giggly. Like that smile is there. His eyes are beaming, like you said, but
he's having the best time.
Yeah.
They're just both having such a good time and they seem so relaxed and into it. And then at the end of the weekend, Shane is sitting on the beach looking at the sunset and Ilya comes up and finds him and sits by him. And they make some small talk about their travel schedule, which if you watch hockey, it's very tedious. Mm-hmm. They touch thumbs in the sand And it's the sexiest thing out of this show. And we have seen full on, I mean, all kinds of stuff on the show. But their thumbs touching, and then Shane makes this like face when their thumbs touch. And it's just like, he's like, oh my God, this is the hottest thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, thumb to thumb.
Thumb to thumb. It was just literally just so hot.
Yeah. And the first time I watched this too, I for some reason I thought the game was in Sunrise.
Right.
Right. Over on the East Coast. And then I was thinking about this sunset scene. I was like, well, no, it couldn't be in Sunrise because of the way that sunset is going. That'd have to be the Gulf Coast because we used to live in Florida, like on the Gulf Coast. And then so I was watching it again, and it's obviously Tampa. And then they cut in and it's Clearwater in behind like the Tampa thing. And they nailed that like setting aspect.
It's a very good attention to detail.
Yeah.
They really did get all of that correct.
That's a Gulf Coast sunset, right?
It is very much a Gulf Coast sunset. So they're on the beach and Shane's like, what room are you in? And he makes plans to go by later. And he goes to Ilya's room. But for the first time ever, they don't just immediately start hooking up once they are in a room. Shane wants to talk. And Ilya at first is, I think, pretty standoffish about it because he, I think he knows that, like, obviously they're maybe sort of starting to acknowledge these feelings that are happening, but he is still definitely not ready to do that. And he just feels like if they can just keep not talking about it, then they can pretend that nothing real is happening.
Right. I mean, it's easier for him and honestly Shane to just keep doing what they're doing and not kind of acknowledge things and just,
Yeah, if they can just pretend that like they aren't totally ass over ankles in love with each other, then it would be great. But Shane, I don't think is built that way necessarily.
No, I mean, Ilya's clearly not either, but he's trying his damnedest.
No, he's like, no, I can also be repressed. Like he's like competitive about being repressed.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
like, oh, Shane thinks he's repressed. Watch out, buddy. I'm about to be the most repressed motherfucker you've ever seen.
Typical hockey behavior there.
And then he, his version of repressed is just standing around looking super sad all the time. And you're like, that's not repressed. That's just depressed. Like it's slightly different there, buddy. So they talk and Shane's basically like, listen, something's going on with us, right? Like, it's not just me. Like, you are also feeling this. And Ilya's like, no, I'm not. And Shane's like, don't be an asshole. And Ilya does sort of reference the fact that Shane ran away from him last time, which Shane apologizes and then apologizes even more sincerely.
Yeah, no, I liked the second apology. He's like, no, so sorry about that. Like, seriously. Yeah,
he does understand that what he did was not cool. And just because he was freaking out, it doesn't mean that it like made it okay for Ilya. No matter how Ilya might like act that it wasn't a big deal, like obviously it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think that is another part of the reason why Ilya is not being like, yeah, definitely something happened between us, because the last time he tried to be vulnerable at all, Shane ran out like his hair was on fire.
No, absolutely. He's right to be a little cautious.
Exactly. Well, they end up having this moment where Shane admits that he's gay and Ilya's like, you have literally sucked my dick. Like, and Shane's like, okay, but no, like, I mean, you've sucked dicks too, but like, you're not gay. And like, there is a difference.
Right.
And, I do get that. Like with Ilya, he has the option. Like he could just date a woman or marry a woman.
Right.
And it'd be fine. And with Shane, he has realized that that's really not an option for him. Like,
he gave it a shot and he's like, nah.
He's like, if I can't fall in love with an actual movie star and like want to have sex with her and like she's the coolest girl in the world and she's a legit movie star, like this isn't going to happen for me.
Probably not going to work out.
Yeah. It's like, he just went right to the top of the mountain. Like he didn't try to level up or anything first. He just went straight into the deep end of the pool and was like, oh yeah, no, I don't like pools. And that's fine. But yeah, so he's like, I know this might seem boring to you, but this is actually a thing that I am dealing with. And then I think Ilya kind of sees that, okay, that is a thing. And he opens up a little bit about his own sort of struggles.
Right.
With, for him, he can't really admit anything serious because if he does, he's not going to be able to go back home ever again.
Right.
And that's a thing. And, I think especially now in the current state of the world with Russia, we know that it's not great over there for for queer people. So I think it's just really good that they brought that up and were explicit about that.
Well, I mean, they already kind of talked about that in previous episodes, but having him acknowledge it or say it too.
I mean, just the fact that he can't go home again, like that's a big thing, you know?
For sure.
He might have complicated feelings about where he comes from, but there is a difference between like feeling like you don't want to go home and feeling like you can't go home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very different thing. And he knows that I think like making that decision to pursue anything with a guy, even if you're planning to keep it a secret, it just means you're closing that door or you're starting to close that door. It's a lot for him and he gets emotional and he tries to sort of hide it and says he's sorry. And Shane just climbs right up on top of him and kisses him and then holds him while he cries. And it's like, again, it's so beautiful. Like, I just feel like I'm not going to have anything funny to say about this episode because I'm usually funny because it's like my defense mechanism when I have too many feelings. But like this episode is so good. I can't even do my usual like defense mechanism stuff because it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, no, I figured when he climbed on top, like everyone was just going to die with that. And then like the crying kind of gets a little bit more intense from Ilya. Like it's quite a scene.
Yes, very much. And then what I love is that they cut away and then we come back in and the bed's messed up and Ilya's shirtless. So we can gather that they have hooked up. But for once, we have not seen it on screen. This is all happened off screen. And I read somebody online who said, I'm actually really glad that they didn't show it because I would have felt like a voyeur, you know, for them at this point in their relationship. Like it would have felt too private for me. Like it's fine when they're all like being sexy and sneaking around. But now that they're all feeling out their emotions and stuff, like, oh, I would have felt very awkward and like an uninvited guest. And I would have felt that way too.
No, I don't think it would have fit, right? It just had a whole different vibe to the show and it would have been jarring.
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll probably get some like romantic boning in the next episode.
They're not gonna send us off with no butts.
Yeah, no, we'll probably get some romantic butts in the next episode. But right now I was fine with, you know, the sexy stuff happening off screen.
Yeah, no.
Again, it was emotionally sexy.
Emotionally sexy. It was very fitting for the storytelling going on.
Especially because before, you know, Shane kind of comforts Ilya's really kind of freaking out about things. But then when Shane leaves, Ilya says, "Good night, Shane."
Does.
Shane says, "Good night, Ilya."
Or goodbye.
I think it's good night, but I'd have to check. Anyway, they use each other's first names again, which they haven't done since the Tuna Melts incident.
It did seem like they were doing that on purpose. There was like a little extra emphasis on the
syllables.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. That was an intentional choice on both of their parts, where Ilya was kind of like, okay, things are still weird and fucked up, but we can at least have this moment here and be on this level of honesty with each other, which is really beautiful. So in the book, they start texting each other after this. I think I had mentioned this in a past episode that they at one point start texting about things that are not sex. They start texting about hockey. This is the point where that happens.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
So they start texting a little bit. The implication basically is that before this, any of their text conversations were more sort of flirty and sexy. And now after this, it's that their conversations become more about things that are happening in the world of hockey. Like it's somebody gets suspended or kicked off a team. And so they start talking about that. And then they start talking about other things. And in the book, we see a lot of Ilya's point of view. And he still is very ambivalent in the wake of the All-Star game. He has come to terms with the fact that he does have feelings for Shane, but he is also like, this really can't happen. So.
Right. Yeah. Like he's not going to torture himself over that. He's just going to be like, well, this can't happen. So that's just how things, it feels like a very like kind of Russian, like, well, it can't happen. I'd like it if it did, but it can't. So end of story.
Yeah. Well, that was actually a thing going back to the last scene that Shane brought up. Shane said that it felt like they were something. And Ilya said, we can't be something. And Shane said, would you want to be if we could?
Right.
And Ilya gets kind of mad and is like, but we can't. And Shane says, but that's not what I asked. I think they've acknowledged that there's all of this sort of gray area going on right there where they do want each other and they both know that it's impossible. And so they are kind of in this state of stasis almost right now where they both kind of know an end has to be in sight, but neither of them wants to really end it either.
Right.
So they're still kind of in touch, and it's all very, I don't know. It's just
gray area, limbo kind of thing.
It's the yearn.
It's the yearn.
It's the yearning abyss, the abyss of yearn.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the book, basically, Ilya's kind of, I think getting ready to be like, okay, well, this is great, and I'm going to just soak up as much Shane as I can get while I can have him. But at some point, like, we got to end this, and this is not going to be working out. In March, this leads to them deviating from their routine. So they are playing in the same city, and usually they don't hook up until after games. And this time, Ilya texts Shane and is like, hey, come over.
Oh, that's what. Okay. Yeah. No, I saw that part, obviously, twice, but it was before the game. I don't think I really put together that, like, that was what was going on.
Yes. Yeah. They hooked up before the game, and you can see that Ilya's still struggling with stuff with his sort of home and his family and things. He's ignoring calls from his brother again. And Shane kind of is trying to get him to talk about it a little bit. And he's like, nope, you ask too many questions. And then Shane just changes the subject and teases him. And Ilya's like, now you're the asshole. And he's like, no, you're still the asshole. And again, it's like the thing with, like, I'm calling you asshole instead of saying I love you.
Yep. No, totally.
They're very cute.
It was a very playful scene.
It was really cute on both their parts. And again, this is just, you are seeing Shane ever since he had that conversation with Rose. He's just really opening up and trying to be there for Ilya as best as he can. And you see Ilya actually seems to be in a good mood because he goes to the game and he's telling everybody on his team if they score a goal, he's going to give them $1,000 because they need to make Montreal cry.
Yeah.
And then after the game, he's like, actually, you're supposed to give me $1,000 for all the goals that I scored. That's what I said the whole time. And it's just back to him being sort of like, you're a liar. I'm a liar. Like, just, I don't know, being silly.
Yeah. No, for sure. You could tell getting laid before the game helped.
Yeah, it was great. He was in a really good mood.
Yeah.
And then he gets the call from his brother that his dad has died.
Right. I thought that was pretty incredible, that scene, because when he answers the phone, like, the music stops and all the background noise just fades away, like, real fast. It was very cool without doing, like, one of those, like, weird zooms where the background's, like, moving at a different pace.
And all you hear is him saying, what the fuck do you want? So you're assuming it's his brother, and then that's it. And then you cut to the next scene, and it's Shane hearing in the locker room that Rozanov didn't travel with his team that day.
Right.
And that's kind of all they know. And then he immediately texts Ilya and is like, what's up? Are you okay?
You think they might notice that in the locker room, like, right as soon as they say that, Shane, like, is on his phone, like, writing a hurried message.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on, though. There's just so much where I think it's just because we know what's going on. We're obviously going to jump to that conclusion. But these guys are heteronormative meatheads. They have no idea what's going on. They're just going to be like, oh, he's got to text his trainer about something.
Yep.
So Shane texts him to figure out what's going on. And then later in the evening, he's checking his phone. He still hasn't heard back. He tries to call Ilya and gets the most Ilya Rozanov voicemail of all time, which is, hi, this is Ilya. Don't leave a voicemail. I won't check it, or something along those lines.
Something like that. I did, like, he texted, right? He gets back to his place. He's got the phone there. He's looking at it. And I felt like normally he'd probably just text again and be like, hey, but he's just like, there's this break you see. And he's like, no, I'm just fucking calling him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, again, all of it, that's from the book. He's worried.
Yeah.
So later that night, he's sitting in bed, he's reading, he's got his reading glasses on.
Adorable.
So cute.
Oh my God.
And Ilya FaceTimes him, or it was Skype in the book, technically.
Skype, sure.
And I think this was the first time they'd ever done like a video chat in the book.
Yeah.
And Ilya is fucking delighted to find out that Shane is wearing reading glasses.
I think I was too.
It was very cute. And Shane takes them off, and Ilya immediately is like, where are the glasses? Bring back the glasses to me. Yep. I would like to see them. And Shane is like, but how are you, like, emotionally? And he's like, I would be doing a lot better emotionally if I could see you in your cute little glasses.
I think we all would.
Yeah, exactly. And so we do get confirmation then that Ilya's dad has died. And Shane is like, I'm so sorry. If there's anything I can do to be there for you. And Ilya's like, absolutely, take off your clothes.
Yep.
And Shane, bless him, is like, okay, and just takes off his shirt.
Okie dokie.
And he's like, all right, well, if that's what you need, I guess I'm here for you, buddy. And then you see a great shot of Ilya being like, put your glasses back on, and tapping his face. So really cute.
No, real cute.
And that really is a scene from the book. And that is like a written out scene in the book. And there are very romantic and tender moments in there too, but it is also just a full on like phone sex, video sex thing.
It's not like, and then they had phone sex next chapter.
No, no, it's detailed, but it's also super romantic because at one point Ilya's like, but I want to see your face right now.
Aw.
I know. So then they end up just like jerking off, looking at each other's faces instead of the other stuff.
Wow.
So super romantic for them, honestly.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. And also Ilya spends a lot of time like thinking about Shane's freckles and how cute they are. And Shane kisses his fingers and touches the phone screen.
Oh my God.
So it's super mushy and cute and adorable in the book.
And we got none of it. We got to see none of it.
We got to see none of it, but I'm honestly okay with it because I don't know. I might have felt weird about a jerking off phone scene.
Yeah.
Honestly, that might have been a bridge too far for me somehow.
I think it just goes in line with what we've been doing this episode. Like that's between them for this episode.
Emotionally sexy. We're all about emotionally sexy moments this episode.
There's nothing sexier than Skype.
Skype, the emotionally sexiest app of all time. I also think that people just should really, if you're single out there, hold yourself to the standard of finding somebody who looks at you the way that Connor Story looks at the cell phone in that scene. He's just gazing at Shane through the lens of the phone. And I'm sure that there was nobody on the other side of the phone when Connor Story was acting that part out. But
right.
He's so good at acting. And he's just like, you just fully believe he's just besotted with Shane and is just gazing at him through the screen at that moment.
Yeah.
And it's so sweet. And I just love it.
Them actors do that fake thing real good.
Well, it's like they've done such a great job of building up their chemistry throughout the show and then like off of the show too, the actors. So it's like even when they're not together on the screen, it feels so electric.
Right. No, and as an actor, you can look at that phone and just be like, well, this is my acting partner. It's Shane. Like, let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so good. So Ilya goes to the funeral and he has a confrontation with his brother. And you get a glimpse at the sort of like really deep well of rage and pain that he has inside of him. He kind of comes across as a cocky asshole a lot of the time and kind of hides a lot of things with this like bravado. But he is really going through it. He's got a lot of feelings down deep.
Yeah.
And it's not great. And you can see he actually scares the shit out of his brother.
Well, I mean, yeah. I loved this scene because it felt very Russia.
Yes.
And also it was almost like stepping into like a Godfather movie or something. It was heavy. The ambiance was heavy and that was great. But yeah, when it gets to the point where you can tell his brother's like freaking out about like, you would not want Ilya to punch you. Like he's a hockey player.
No. And you could tell he was unhinged. Like if Svetlana was not there to be like, hey, you're better than this.
Yeah.
He would have turned him into a pulp.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that it's like easy for the brother Alexei to forget that because Ilya has just allowed himself to be bullied for so long, probably to keep the peace for his father. But now the dad's dead and there's no reason, I guess, for Ilya to sort of swallow it anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
So, because first his brother pushes him around and he doesn't really do anything. But then the brother insults Svetlana and he just punches him and gets in there. And the brother just looks terrified.
Yeah, not Svetlana.
No, she just looks kind of bored.
No, she's badass.
She is super badass.
Again, ladies in this episode, badass.
Ladies in this episode, super badass. So he basically tells his brother off and is like, I will give you my apartment and I will set up a trust for my niece and never talk to me again. Do not look at me or my son. Goodbye. Then he and Svetlana talk about how much they love each other. And she's like, but also I know that you are in love with a guy and that his name is Jane.
That line that she ends with there, like, I hope she knows how lucky.
I hope he knows.
Well, yeah, I hope Jane knows how lucky he is.
Yes, exactly.
Holy shit.
It was so good. And some people are like, oh, is that just like a typo in the subtitles? No, the Russian speakers say that was in fact what she said, which I believed to be true.
Of course. Yeah, I didn't even question that for a second.
No, same. But
my God.
It's so good.
Yeah.
No, and it's again, that's kind of all my stuff that I was talking about earlier, where I think she has known all along that Jane is a guy, because if it was a girl, it would have been different. He would have said something or done something differently, and or
maybe they would have been seen in the media or something. It
wouldn't have been a secret if it was a girl, but she just knew, and she was just like, hey, I love you. I'm still here for you for whatever you need. And she gives him a little kiss on the mouth, just like Rose did to Shane. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so happy for my poor little sad boys that they have these badass women to take care of them right now because they really need help. They both have emotional problems. And then Ilya goes for a walk and he texts Shane and is like, can you talk? So Shane's in a hotel and he sneaks out to the stairwell to talk with Ilya. And they talk for a few minutes. Again, this is another scene from the book that everyone is like, please let the scene be in here. In the book, Ilya is just having a hard time talking about things because English isn't his first language. And this is the thing that you've seen it in the show, when they did the press conference for their first All-Star game and the reporters asked a question and Shane jumped in to sort of do the answer because Ilya was having a hard time with it. He doesn't always have the easiest time expressing himself in English.
Right. I mean, he had to look up what compatible meant.
Well, he thought he knew what it meant. He just wanted to make extra super duper sure just because you can't get a straight answer out of Shane.
Right.
Which is ironic. So he's having trouble expressing himself and Shane suggests, hey, why don't you just say whatever you need to say in Russian? I'm not going to understand it, but maybe you just saying it will make you feel better and I'll just be here to listen. And Ilya just goes right along with it. And it's like, you know what? Okay.
Which is wild, right? Like the bravado that he has sometimes with feelings, right? It'd be like, But he was already trying to say that in English, but think that it would be hard.
That there would be limitations to the way he would be able to say it. And also, he's just not ready to say those things.
Right, exactly.
In English yet either. So being able to express himself in Russian, knowing that Shane was listening but not understanding, gave him freedom to say things that he wasn't ready to say in a way that Shane would understand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He basically has this really beautiful monologue and talks about how hard it has been and how much he resents being home and how everybody only wants things from him and they want money. He feels like an outcast and he never wants to come back. He doesn't have anybody who loves him except for Svetlana, and he loves her too, but not the way that he loves Shane.
And it was hard for him to even say that in Russian too.
He had to pull the phone away from his ear.
Yep.
And then, I don't know about you, I started crying on the couch. I was crying alone in the VIP section.
Yeah.
It was just so beautiful. And Shane, again, not understanding anything, but just closing his eyes on the other end and just listening and just letting it all sort of wash over him. Just like he's sort of trying to will himself into understanding something.
Yeah. And for not being like an emotionally aware person, he's definitely a compassionate kind of he did what somebody who is emotionally intelligent would do. And it's be like, oh, your father died. You're going through some stuff. Tell me about it.
It's like, I understand from my good friend Rose that talking is important.
Right.
So you should talk to me. And that's okay if it's not in English. It's probably better for both of us, honestly.
Honestly, right? Yeah. He doesn't have to think about it or feel too much about it.
Exactly. So,
but you could tell from the acting, he was feeling things about it because the language, and there are certain words that he repeated and said in different ways in the Russian. You can listen to that and get a sense of the emotions behind it, at least.
Oh, there's a part where he says my brother, and his voice cracks on it. And
yeah.
I just wanted to cry. I think I did cry.
Well, you were crying.
I was crying.
You wanted to cry again.
I was like, oh, it's too bad I'm crying right now, because if I wasn't, I would definitely cry.
Yeah.
But I can't cry because I'm already crying. I'm not going to double cry.
Can't double cry.
Can't double cry. What's up with that? So, no, they have this great moment. And then Ilya says, okay, I'm done. And Shane smiles. And
it was great.
It's nice.
It was a great way to end that call. And I mentioned when we were watching it that I had thoughts about music. Music's been real prevalent in all these episodes up until now. And you don't really notice much of the music going on. A lot of it's kind of background, kind of just generic stuff in this episode. And then behind this scene is Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata.
Oh, wow. Okay. See, there you go.
Yeah. And it was the first time I was like, oh, yeah, there's a song in here. There are other songs in this episode, but they're not as prevalent as they have been or such plot devices with their lyrics and their relation to the episode. And then this one, just some classical music in the background.
Yeah, you're a big classical music person, so
I dabble.
Something you would notice. You do more than dabble. And then what I really love too is they do sort of like a little like flirting, sort of dirty talk, kind of talking about how things that Shane could learn how to say in Russian.
Yeah,
then
super funny.
But then Shane says, or you could teach me how to say, I wish I was there, or
I wish you were here.
I wish you were here. And then he says, I wish I was too, in Russian.
Right.
And then I cried some more.
Triple cry.
Triple cry. The elite triple cry crown winner.
The hat trick of crying.
The hat trick of crying. So, and then they ends the call there. And a week later, it is April and the regular hockey season is coming to an end. Ilya's back from Russia and his team is in Montreal to play against Shane. Shane and Ilya meet up at center ice for the face-off. This is, that's their first time seeing each other, I guess, since All-Star?
Probably, yeah.
Or
yeah.
no, since hooking up at the last game.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So this is their first time since then. And, they've had this big sort of intimate phone call. They see each other, they're smiling, they're out on the ice, they're vibing. In the book, it's sort of described as almost kind of like the All-Star game again, where they're, battling up against the boards and Shane gets the puck away. Ilya's like chasing after him and they're kind of laughing and having a great time. And Shane gives him kind of a challenging look. And then out of nowhere, bam, open ice hit, Shane goes down.
Yep.
And all the book readers knew this was coming. And we were all like, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No, things were going so well.
Oh no. They really kept it true to the book. Once again, it was Ilya's teammate. It was just kind of a freak accident. It was.
I mean, he's got to keep his head up.
He's got to keep his head up.
I mean,
you just got to keep your head up. That's the announcers to be like, oh, what was he doing?
No, yeah.
You can't
play hockey like that.
No, you got to keep your head up.
No. He's out there taking hits like the young kids in the league. Like keep your head up, man. You're going to get rocked out in open ice like that.
He did. To his credit, Hayden immediately threw down with Marlowe.
Well, I mean, that's also true to hockey, right? Oh, there's a clean hit. All right, let's have a fight.
Yeah, no, it's Marlowe, you motherfucker. And then you see them fighting and the refs trying to separate them.
Yeah, and that was just a straight up clean hit.
It was, yeah. So they're fighting and then Shane's getting loaded up onto the board because he has been rocked and Ilya is once again going through it.
He's on the ice. He's distraught.
He is distraught.
The refs can't get him off the ice.
They can't get him off the ice. He is asking after Shane and the announcers are talking about it and they're like, oh, these two were rivals, but you can tell there's a lot of admiration between them. And that's, again, that sort of heteronormative, like, it's not like, oh, they're friends or like oh, he cares about him. It's just like, oh, the admiration for rivals kind of vibe. And
even though Rozanov hates him, he doesn't want to see anybody get hurt.
Yeah, they even said that, or like even Rozanov doesn't want to see this happen to anybody.
Right.
And, meanwhile, Ilya's just like going through all of the emotions and feelings. Shane, meanwhile, has gotten his clock cleaned pretty hard, loses consciousness and sort of comes back out of it. And in the book, it's a little more sort of, they're a little crazier about it in the book. Ilya's definitely sort of, I think, yelling and, asking how he is and not being able to get a straight answer.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And Shane,
that would be a little weird out on the ice, right?
That would be a little weird.
Other teams definitely have concern when somebody goes down and they're bringing out the boards and the medics, but they're not
especially for somebody who's not involved in the hit. Like if he had done the hitting, I could maybe see him freaking out a little bit, but even then probably not.
No, it's kind of a tell.
They get pretty stoic about it.
Yeah.
And then in the book too, what Shane says is he mumbles, Ilya, they can see us or something like that. So it doesn't go anywhere, nothing happens out of any of it, but you do start to see oh shit, they're way in over their heads with this. They are losing the plot with this.
Yeah. And I think probably leaving that out makes sense.
I think it does too.
I think just having him kind of babble some things that the paramedics were just ignoring.
Right.
Was good enough.
Where he's talking about his parents and then he's saying, oh, tell him I'm okay. And they're like, yeah, the coach is telling your dad. And he's like, no, tell Ilya. And they're like, okay, buddy, your brain's a little scrambled there.
Keep your eyes open, man.
Yeah. I think it was interesting too, just seeing it through sort of more of the TV screens than anything. That's something I liked a lot about that episode.
Yeah, right.
I liked a lot about the episode, and we see this later too, is a lot of the stuff that happens on the ice. We see it on the ice a bit, but we see it through TV monitors, we're the audience watching.
How we normally see hockey.
Exactly like how we normally see hockey. And so it gives us this sort of distance. And I think because we're hearing the announcers voice it over too. So it's it's a different experience for us because we know them. Like we've been seeing them. We know all this backstory. But then once they pull the cameras back and we're going back with them, it just looks like a normal thing.
Yeah. I mean, that shit happens.
It just looks very typical and not out of the ordinary at all. But then once you kind of pull back in and see things, you're like, oh, okay, they are losing their shit. So it's, I don't know, really nice.
Another good scene.
Another good scene.
All right.
So Ilya goes to visit Shane in the hospital.
Adorable.
Adorable. And that's again from the book. And he, I think, is mostly upset he has to wait until the morning to do it. Because it would look super weird if he went right after the game.
Right. If he's just like, I'm out, guys. I got to go.
He basically is like, yeah, the only reason I can get away with this now is because like I'm the captain of my team. And
right. Sure.
So I can do this. But even at the hospital, they have to kind of pretend they don't really know each other. And there's a lot of jokes about like, oh, the enemy is here to finish the job and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they still go and they get to see each other. Shane was not as drugged up in the book as he is.
I thought it was such a good choice. It was so funny.
It was so good. He's like, Ilya.
He's so goofy.
He's so goofy. And he's like, hey. And it's like, geez, calm down. He's like, yes, better. Like, he just wants to hold hands.
Yeah.
And then Ilya's like, you scared me, and is touching his face. And they're just so schmoopy over each other. And then Shane's mostly bummed, not the fact that his season has ended because of his concussion and his fractured clavicle, but because he was really looking forward to seeing Ilya last night. And also he had something he was going to ask Ilya last night. And Ilya's like, whoa, like, druggy boy, let's not get too serious here. And Shane's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was just going to invite you to my cottage. In the book, he does invite him to the cottage. I think they have talked about it a little bit before that.
Okay.
In the book. But in the book, Ilya's like, okay, yeah, no, this absolutely can't happen. But I'm not going to hurt his feelings while he's in the hospital.
Right. He said maybe, right?
Which is what he said in the book. He said maybe, but at that point, he has no intention of going to the cottage.
No, of course not.
Yeah. He's like, okay, hopefully he won't remember this. Right. Because he's like, no, this just can't be. Like, this is just not practical whatsoever. And then, yeah, a nurse comes in and he has to sort of clear out and everything. So that took Shane out of the playoffs. So when May rolls around, he is recuperating at his parents' house and he talks on the phone with Rose, who is getting her body painted. And it's good to see that she is still in his life and being his friend. Like,
and he was like, when they were talking on the phone, was like super normal and not like awkward. And
yes.
He wasn't doing like that kind of thing. He was just like talking to a friend.
Yeah. He was just himself. Like he finally has somebody who can be himself around.
Yeah. Which
was fantastic. So while Shane's at the cottage, he's at his parents' cottage, by the way, not his cottage.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So yeah, he's at his parents' cottage.
Cottage and double quotes.
Right. So he's watching hockey with his parents because remember, his mom is a crazy hockey fan.
She is.
They're watching. Ilya's team is still in the playoffs at this point. They are up against Scott Hunter's team.
Mm-hmm.
And Shane's mom notes that Ilya is playing injured and probably it's his ribs. And that's another thing is I love that the two most hockey knowledgeable characters on the show are clearly Shane's mom and Svetlana.
That's true.
Even more so than the actual hockey players.
Right.
Because Shane's like, are you a witch? Like, how do you know this stuff? And she's just like, I know this stuff.
Yep.
And you kind of are the same way about me sometimes. I'll know things and you're like, how do you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I just know it.
Right.
So, or I'll make a prediction about something. I'm like, oh, after this hit, I think this is what it was. And you're like, okay, that was indeed what it was.
Yep.
So
you can tell the mom is watching all the hockey games.
When you watch multiple hockey games a day for every day for years,
yeah,
you just kind of turn into a lunatic.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yep.
So yeah,
and also she's a badass lady in this too.
She's also a badass lady.
Like
because
I liked whatever she brought to. She didn't have a lot to say, but like it was great.
Yeah, no, she's just there supporting her kid and being really awesome at knowing hockey stuff.
Yeah.
So two things that I really admire. She also is like, good for Scott Hunter. And they're like, why good for Scott Hunter? And she's like, it's going to be his year. And they're like, okay, the playoffs are still happening.
Right.
What's up with you? But she does prove to be pretty smart on that front too. So New York does knock Boston out of the playoffs and Shane texts with Ilya after. So then we get to see that New York, which is Scott Hunter's team, does make it to the final round of the playoffs.
Hell yeah.
And so now Shane's still at his parents watching the game. Ilya has now been knocked out. So he's back at his house watching the game with Svetlana. We're watching the very final game. Shane and Ilya are texting, although Shane lies to his mom and says he's texting with Hayden. I don't know. It's just nice. You kind of see that they're still talking. And
yeah, they're watching the game. Like we've watched games together that way when like I'm traveling for work.
Yes. Yeah. If you're out of town, we will text while the game is on. And
then I usually wait for your text because I don't want to, like, sometimes the feed's like 30 seconds faster in one spot than it is the other.
And you don't want to spoil it.
I don't be like, holy shit, you see that goal? I just wait for you to be like, oh my God. And I'll be like, I know, right?
And I appreciate that.
Yep.
So they are texting back and forth with that. And then the Admirals are about to win the cup. They're just making fun of Scott Hunter for being old. And we are watching New York celebrating on the ice. And the announcers are talking about how they cannot believe what they're witnessing right now. And it's like, bitch, you have no idea what is about to happen.
An old man winning a cup is nothing.
Yeah. An old man winning a cup, history being made, no chance. Like, this is not even a thing. So the scene's been going back and forth between Shane and Ilya. And now we sort of go almost through the TV into the arena where Scott is beaming and lifting the cup. We swing into the audience and we see that Kip is there with Elena, and Kip's dad is there too.
Yeah. Did not notice Kip's dad on first watch.
I didn't notice it until the third watch.
Right.
Because he doesn't say anything.
Yeah, he's just kind of off to the side, but I'm glad he got to go to the final there.
I'm glad too. So to give you a little more context for this is, again, where timeline stuff gets kind of screwy. So in the book, the whole Kip and Scott story takes place pretty much around the same time as this whole episode.
Okay.
So basically in the book, Kip and Scott meet in January of 2017. They start hooking up and dating in February. Things are good through March. In April is when Kip is starting to struggle with sort of being a secret. In May, they have a fight and Kip leaves to stay at home with his parents for a while. Scott goes on a road trip and loses a couple games. They're both miserable. They kind of get back together and are like, this is unsustainable. Like, we're in love.
Sure.
And like, we got to figure this out. But like, let's just get through playoffs and then we'll reevaluate.
Let's get to the summer and like go to some remote island and figure things out.
Very much that. Scott does start in the book coming out to some people.
Okay.
That's not even like necessarily a plan they come up with. He just sort of one night calls his agent and is like, BT dubs, I'm gay and I'm going to come out. And his agent's like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. But okay. And then he talks to his coach and then he tells a few of his friends on the team. And so he starts sort of slowly coming out to people. And then when he comes back from his road trip, he goes to Kip's parents' house where Kip is.
Oh, God. Nice.
Yeah. He shows up at Kip's parents' house and is like, hi, I'm Kip's boyfriend. What's up?
Wow. That's awesome. Maybe I should read this book. I don't know.
I think you should. It's really cute.
Especially if they get further into it next season.
Something that's fun too is in the book, Kip's dad totally knew that Kip was dating Scott Hunter.
I love that too.
Yeah. When they sort of had their breakup and Kip comes back home and is sort of miserable. Kip's dad is like, so we're going to talk about how you guys broke up? And he's like, who? And he's like, you and Scott Hunter? And he's like, how did you know that? And he's like, well, I know you guys met. And then we were watching that game where he got injured and nobody gets that upset about some guy that they made a smoothie getting injured.
Right.
You know, I was like, yeah, they're dating. So
cool.
Parents, we know so much.
Yep.
So that all happens basically in a 6-month time span in the book.
Gotcha. But not in the show.
Not in the show. So in the show, their story took place, they met in, I think it was November of 2013.
Okay.
Well, in the book, basically, they split up right before the 2014 Olympics.
Okay.
Or sorry, in the show.
Yep.
They split up right before the 2014 Olympics. And then we know they got together 4 months before that.
Okay. Right.
So basically, we had that 4-month relationship. They split up right before the Olympics. And then now we're seeing nothing. And then 2017, they're kissing on the ice after he wins the cup. So spoiler alert, because I haven't gotten to that point.
No, I believe that's probably okay.
I believe people probably know what they're getting into.
So yeah, that feels like a better pacing and storyline in the book than it does with this. Like 3 years, and then like we didn't know like why Kip is there, if he's there secretly, if Scott got him those tickets. Like obviously those are expensive, hard to get tickets.
Right. There's definitely people are speculating about what the story is. I do think that this amount of time would have basically gotten Kip through grad school.
Yeah.
So I think it was like a 2-year program he was looking at. So I'm assuming basically, I think he had applied to one in Boston. So for all I know, you know, one of the things I've seen speculating, he went to Boston for grad school and then when Boston and New York were playing against each other. Maybe he, I don't know, sent Scott a message or something, or randomly ran into Scott in Boston.
Gotcha.
And then was like, I'm moving back to New York, and maybe they reconnected. We don't know. So I do know that they shot a lot more of the Scott and Kip stuff that didn't make it onto the screen.
Travesty. Give me that stuff.
I do know that there has been talk about revisiting them in season 2 or possibly even doing a spinoff.
Do it.
You're like, yes, give me all the Scott.
I will fund it.
Yeah. You're like, I have $11. So they've talked about that. There are different ways that the story could be told. I would love it, even if we just got a bonus episode with all the stuff that we've missed. I do know that they sort of didn't realize that the timing was not lining up correctly.
Oh, okay.
Because I think initially that plan was not to have that be then.
Well, it really doesn't even matter to me, because I was just like, this is fine. I something happened in between. They seem to like Scott knows he's there.
Scott knows he's there.
And like, if you're on the ice, you're not just like randomly seeing someone like, 20 rows back and being like, hey, look, it's that guy.
They've definitely had some kind of conversation. Like, they haven't just not talked for 3 years, because like Kip could be married to somebody else for all Scott knows otherwise.
No, exactly.
Like, they've definitely had some kind of contact. And I do believe we're going to find out in some kind of way what happened, like what sort of the rewrite of this story was.
Yeah, I had no issues with it. And I was just too overjoyed that they were back on my screen. So I didn't care.
You were so excited. And there were so many little mentions of Scott Hunter throughout the episode. And,
like, I knew it was going to happen.
You knew it was going to happen.
He was like the opening scene again, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was in the previous leads.
Him running.
Him running.
Yep.
In a super tight shirt.
Super tight.
All very grateful for.
Super tight wet shirt.
So they're all watching Scott win the cup on TV. Scott's beckoning Kip down from the stands. The announcers are very confused, but they're like, Scott seems to be getting some fan from out of the stands. How nice for him.
Well, yeah.
Again, back to that like heteronormativity kind of thing of like, sure, he's just picking some random dude out of the stands to like come down.
Right. Well, this was after they had all like skated around and kissed the cup kind of thing. And we saw like the families coming on the ice, which is what happens at the Stanley Cup, right?
Yes. But the families start to come out after they've kind of done the skating around and handing the cup off.
Scott wouldn't have anyone to come out for him.
He didn't.
Because they're all dead, right?
Yes.
So...
Yeah, in the book, I think it was just him and his mom died when he was younger.
Okay.
In the book, it's very much he is having a great time with the cup. He feels great. He feels vindicated. He's so happy. He's celebrating with his teammates. And then his teammates, their wives and girlfriends and kids start to come out. And even though he's still happy, he's still just, there's this sense of like wrongness that's sort of pervading.
Right.
And then he realizes that, he wants to have his person on the ice, and he has a person. And he beckons Kip, and sort of in the book at first, he's like, oh, well, there's so many people here. Probably nobody would notice if I just had somebody down on the ice. But the TV show does a much better job of representing that, yes, it would be a crazy big deal if one of the hockey players just started grabbing some rando from the crowd and like waving them down.
Yeah.
Yes, they would in fact focus on that.
That would be different.
So in the book, I think it was a little more low key, and then he was just like, fuck it, and kissed him anyway. But this really, I think the second that you see him flag him down, it's going to be a gesture.
Yeah.
And that's what you see, I think, Shane and Ilya in particular realizing, the announcers are still completely oblivious. They're just like...
Right, yeah. It kept cutting back and forth between them, and they're starting to freak out.
Yeah, Shane and Ilya, Shane's kind of sitting on the couch with his parents, and he leans forward. Ilya's getting some stuff to pack. And then he sees what's going on, and he sits down on the couch, and they start texting each other, and they're like, what is he doing? They see Kip come out on the ice with Scott, and then you can see them talking to each other. You don't hear what they're saying, because this is, again, them watching as the audience. And you see them kiss like through the screen. Mm-hmm. And then you go through it and the screen again, and you see them say that they love each other, and you see them kiss in person. So it's this great full circle moment where you're seeing these two stories come together. And all of the people who thought, oh, the Kip and Scott thing, it doesn't really matter. They don't need their own episode. You totally needed it.
Those people are no friends of mine.
No, they are on the list.
They're on notice.
They are on notice because that just...
It ties it all together.
It ties it all together.
It makes the whole 5-episode arc so far just like a complete story, I feel like.
I just don't think it resonates as much for Shane and Ilya, or even for us as the audience, if we just see some random hockey player kissing some random man from the audience.
Yeah, like, oh, that's the guy that was drinking coffee in Sochi.
Right, exactly.
Oh, okay, I guess he's gay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Right? No, it's not as good.
And I do think we still have that mystery of this whole, section of years now in between them that I would love to see explored elsewhere. And I think that that is great. And I'm happy about that. But yeah, I needed to see the beginning of their love story, and I needed to see the kiss, because the kiss is, that is...
Kiss heard round the world.
It is. The first book in the series is called Game Changer. Scott Hunter is the game changer. He literally changes the game.
He does.
Because there are other gay hockey players in this league, in this universe.
Yeah, and they're all captains of each individual team, apparently.
All of them. Gay captains everywhere. So, but this is for Ilya and Shane. They get to see this happening now. Like, they think they're the only ones, and now all of a sudden Scott Hunter is kissing a man on the ice.
Right.
And they've been texting this whole game. And then all of a sudden, Ilya just leaves the room and goes to call Shane, and Shane picks up the phone, leaves the room, and he's like, what the fuck? And Shane goes, I'm coming to the cottage. End episode. What the fuck?
Holy shit.
Yeah. And it was a perfect episode of television.
It was, yeah. I also think too, right? Like, you've seen how difficult like the Shane Ilya thing is in trying to make that, like, they realize they can't make this a thing. So they have this kind of like secret, sordid kind of affair thing, but with the Kip and Scott, you've seen like what can be, like you're like, wow, look at that relationship. And now you see that the two of them want that. And you've already seen in this universe that's possible. And now it's even possible as a hockey player.
Yeah, exactly. And you've seen too this sort of softening of Shane and Ilya towards each other throughout the course of this episode, and this emotional growth that they've hit after, 7 or 8 years of being together secretly, but not being together, but having this complicated relationship. And now for the last, 4 months or whatever, they've not even 4 months, maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
They've been on this good track, but they're still feeling pretty tortured about it. But now all of a sudden, what the fuck? They're not the only ones. They're not alone. They're not even the first ones.
The game has changed.
The game has literally changed. I'm just so impressed with everybody on this production, how they've done everything. Jacob Tierney has done a masterful job adapting these books, which are very, I have to go through and I'm like the guy from the meme with like the red strings on the board, just writing up my notes for the episodes to go look at all of the timelines and things. For him to adapt those episodes and have them work with the multiple timelines and multiple books and crisscrossing stories and everything, it's so good. And then the acting, just everything is perfect. And the books themselves, Rachel Reed just did such a great job of creating these characters that are really great, likable, lovable, complicated, interesting characters that you want to learn more about. And then for them to find the absolute most perfect actors in Hudson Williams and Connor Story, like
lightning in a bottle, or whatever they say.
No, it really is. This show could have easily gone so wrong. And I think there's a reason why it's blowing up the way that it is. And it's just because it's been handled with so much care and attention by every single person that's been involved. You can tell everyone involved truly loves the source material and truly has respect for it, from the actors and everything. And it's just beautiful to watch. And it's just beautiful to watch it all kind of unfold like that in this one episode where finally everything just got to sort of unfold as it was meant to.
Yeah. And it also does seem like just a great example of very talented people getting together and doing a thing and not having kind of any, not oversight, but you could tell they were just left alone to make this the way they wanted to make this.
Apparently Crave did approve them to do Full Frontal if they wanted.
Wow.
So that could have been a thing too. Jacob Tierney thought it wasn't necessary, which I agree with.
Yeah. That would have made it more difficult, I think, for the U.S. audience, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think that would have been a challenge.
I mean, already that many man butts is a lot for us U.S. people.
Maybe you.
No.
I'm fine with it.
No, I mean, no, we're fine with it. But like when you think about like television shows or movies,
yeah,
that's a lot of I've seen more butts in this than I've seen like in like the last 5 years in like media.
Yeah, no, we don't see a lot of man butts. Like we watched Love Island over the summer and we saw plenty of lady butts.
My God, it's all lady butts.
All lady butts all the time.
It's thongs required.
Yes, but no, here I'm very glad for the equal opportunity Canadian influx of man butts.
Yep.
So thank you for Equality Canada.
Yeah, no, Canada's been representing themselves really well. And that outro song too by...
Oh, I forgot to mention that. Yes.
But that's a Canadian band as well.
Yes. And that is just another one of those great details is the closing song is called I'll Believe in Anything by Wolf Parade. And that was also the title of the episode. And we first heard that song in episode 3 when Scott was running the first day before he went in for his terrible looking smoothie. And then that song comes back while Scott is looking for Kip in the crowd. We hear that song and the song opens with the lyrics, "Give me your eyes, I need sunshine." And if you remember in the 3rd episode, there was the gala and Elena danced with Scott and she kind of tried to warn him that Kip was having a hard time with the secrecy.
Right.
And she said, he deserves to be in the sunshine. And then she said, and so do you. So for that song to reference sunshine and for that song to be from that scene earlier and then come back here and with all of that, Francois Arnaud came in, I guess, to do ADR for that last scene and didn't know what the music choices were going to be. But Jacob Tierney was like, let me show you the last scene here with the music in and everything. And that was the song that was in. And he knew that the song was from earlier and he knew the lyrics and everything. And he said that he and Jacob Tierney just like held each other and cried in the studio, like watching that with the song over it. And,
nice. Yeah.
And again, that's just like how the people on the show feel about it. Like they just got it. Like they just...
Well, thanks for making those connections because I never would have picked that up.
I mean, that was not just me. The people on the great internet have picked all of that up and more. Honestly, this could have been a 3-hour episode. I could have talked about this so much more. I just wanted to kind of specifically for me go in and pull some of the things from the books because I've read them and you haven't. And I thought you would like to sort of hear some of the things that were talked about in the books that didn't necessarily get explicitly referenced on screen, but that I think were sort of conveyed nonetheless.
Yeah, no, it seems like that. I think that's what you're talking about with the adaptation, right? Like the book is still behind the scenes here for the most part.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like you need the books to appreciate the show. And I don't feel like you probably need the show to appreciate the books, but I think they work together in harmony probably.
It's exactly what it is. I loved the book series before the show came out, and I was happy with them as an art form. I loved the show on its own, independent of the books. Knowing both of them and getting to enjoy them in conjunction with one another, it's like a whole different sort of layer of the experience. You know, I know it's genre romance and people look down sort of on that and everything, but...
Not anymore, they don't.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a really beautifully written story about really beautiful, complicated characters who are just doing their best in a world that is not designed for them. And it's just really nice to see because things kind of suck right now. I don't know about you. I've been having a hard time lately.
I feel like that's a pretty common theme amongst people living in the world today.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been going through it lately. And to have this show where things are, even though they start out complicated, they just kind of start to eventually go right. It's just a really nice thing to see.
No, it's real nice to see. Yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't be happier with this episode. Like this is like up in the pantheon for me.
Like people are going to be writing fanfic about this now.
People had already written fanfic about the books and now people are writing fanfic about the show.
Oh, they were writing fanfic about the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they write fanfic about everything.
They do. You know, fanfic exists for everything.
Well, I am aware of that.
Yes. I think maybe a fan might have gotten Hudson Williams to be like, okay, back off a little bit because they were telling him about all of the fics on AO3 where Shane is pregnant. So that was at the charity gift wrapping thing.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So he looked pretty neutral in the video that I saw, but I don't know.
Yeah, no.
He's the one who's been like going around being like, no, be freakier. And so I do not have any sympathy for him. You brought it upon yourself, sir.
No, that's the things that people will imagine and write about.
I mean, they basically made an MPreg joke on the show, so.
It's true. That's true. So, yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see the numbers skyrocket of fanfic for this. It'll be up there with like the friggin' Harry Potter and shit.
Let's hope it overtakes that, quite honestly. And that's the end of regulation for this bonus episode of Ice is Slippery. You can find us on Tumblr, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram at Ice is Slippery Pod. You can also email us at iceslipperypod@gmail.com, where we would love to get suggestions for games and hear your hockey hot takes. Until next time, stay out of the penalty box.
All right, let's go watch some hockey now.
Yep.